All right, what's up folks? So this is the third and final episode we'll do for prepping for the Bodyweight Basics, which starts on Tuesday. There's still 7 spots left. We'll post a link for more information. So on the first video, we talked about the first half of the warm-up. We do this in bare feet or in socks, doing some walking drills, and then we went into the prone, the supinated, and then into the PVC pipe and the standing drills, okay? All designed to improve functionality, improve mobility. So now what we're gonna jump into is a few more specific things that we're gonna focus on. After we get that initial warm-up done, we're gonna have about 10 to 15 minutes of pure mobility work, okay? So we focus on, when we're talking about rehab or improving joint pain or just improving movement altogether, we talk mobility, stability, and then integration. All right, so the way this will work is the first 6 classes will be very structured, and we're going to start from the foot and the ankle all the way up to the neck, okay? And we go through each segment for 6 weeks, then, or I'm sorry, for 6 sessions, so the first 2 weeks. Then the final 4 weeks will be specific to you. So we got some people coming in with ankle issues, a couple people with knee issues. Once we have kind of that open time, it'll be digging into whatever specifically bothers you the most, okay? So Susie's going to help walk us through what the first 2 sessions would look like, and how we pick 3 drills per session and 2 minutes each side per drill. So we're going to start with what we'll do on day 1, which is dealing with the foot and ankle unit. So the very first thing we like to do is tear into the fascia of the bottom of the foot. So let me see your foot first, straight out, right? So we have our heel bone back here, we have the bones for our phalanges and the bottom of our foot. All of this is a big basically sheath of fascia and tissue that we want to start working to break up a little bit. In wearing those shoes we wear these days, we get a lot of padding, so we don't get to activate all the little muscles in the foot. So that's why we do a lot of drills in bare feet or socks. So plantar fasciitis, this is a great tool to develop, a great exercise to use. So the first thing we're going to do is just bottom of foot on a lacrosse ball. All right. So this is the slightly modified version while she's sitting down. We could spice that up by standing up and putting a lot more pressure on it. So she basically, what I like to do is have people start at the back of the heel and then slowly work their way up to the ball of the foot. All right. Now this is pretty spicy. You might feel a lot of cracking and popping as we do this, but this is a great way to kind of get all the muscles of the foot to open up a little bit and get a little more extensibility. All right. So we'll spend 2 minutes each side doing that. And then after that, we're going to foam roll. Actually, let's stick with this. We'll stick with the cross ball. And what we're going to do is our peroneals, and then we'll foam roll the calf. So I like to sit in like a pigeon position, like leg out in front, just like this, perfect. Now you can do this on a box too, but this is where we'll start. And so she'll start right above the ankle basically, and we're gonna work the whole way up the leg. And you can put pressure on this. You can control how much pressure you put into this depending on how much weight you put in the lacrosse ball. All right, so we'll work that whole area. This also helps alleviate some shin splints that people have sometimes. Shin splint is the muscle tearing away from the bone slightly, so helping to get a little more extensibility, a little more movement through that anterior compartment can alleviate a lot of pain. It also plays into the ankle. So when we're thinking about joint pain too, we talk about going upstream and downstream. So it's not going to be just about an ankle issue. It's not just about focusing on the ankle. It's about focusing the musculature above the ankle. So this is a great tool for that. All right. So you can see how she would just work that for 2 minutes, even potentially more, depending if this is something that really stands out to you as we get into it. So then that would be the second drill. The third drill is just using the foam roller, and this will be on the calf. So this one's focused on the muscle belly itself, the big thick part of the calf. And she'll stick on that area, and she'll go up and down, rock back and forth, side to side. As we get more and more involved, we can up this a little bit by taking a barbell and focusing more on the Achilles itself, but basically just getting more range of motion out of that ankle and in the knee long term by working that calf. All right, so one of the most limiting factors we see in the ankle is lack of dorsiflexion. So dorsiflexion is pulling if she pulled her toe to her body, that's dorsiflexion. Pointing it down is plantar flexion. So point it back up. Without getting that good mobility, without getting good dorsiflexion, that can really inhibit how we squat, how we walk, and how we move in general. So we can get a lot of transference of ankle and knee pain without getting good dorsiflexion. So these will help us get there. All right. So that's the foot and ankle unit. We'll start there. There's a bunch of other things we can do on that joint, but we're going to limit it to those 3, and we can always get more in depth if we need to. So then day 2 will be about dealing with the knee a little bit. So we'll do 3 things: lacrosse ball above the knee, foam roll the quad, and foam roll the IT band. So we'll start with the knee. So the quads, four muscles that come from the hip all the way down, and then right above the kneecap, they start to form this tendon that then goes over the patella and attaches right here, what we call the tibial tuberosity. So we're gonna dig into right here above the kneecap. So she lays on her belly, stick the lacrosse ball between the floor right there. Perfect. Now this is a little spicy, especially if you got tight quads. And she's just gonna put some weight on that. Rock back and forth, roll around a little bit, and then we're gonna play with flexing the knee, right? So she'll bring her heel to her butt as she's moving it all around, and then back down. So tearing into that whole area up there, moving it all around. That's number 1. Then number 2, we'll go back to the foam roller. And we typically say 2 minutes per movement. Given the fact that the quad is a large set of muscles, we can go a little bit longer if we need to. But basically she's just laying forward. She's gonna start with one leg at a time, starting above the knee, and she'll slowly roll her way all the way up to her hip. All right, and again, on this, we're rocking back and forth, going up and down, putting weight into it, just kind of finding and digging into those areas. Typically, when you find a spot that's a little more painful, it makes you kind of twinge a little bit, that's what we need to dig into, all right? So that's the quad, and then all we would do is simply do a little bit of a turn to get to the IT band. So the IT band starts at the side of the pelvis, or side of the hip, and runs all the way down to the side of the knee and even past a little bit. Now we get a lot of issues with that muscle group while we are in runners, okay? So the IT band can come very tight when running, so it's something we want to work on. So all she'll do is just pick a side, just like so. Cross that leg over, and this is usually also a little spicy as well. It's a little sensitive. So she'll start high up on that hip, and then work her way all the way down to the knee. So 2 minutes each side, each movement, and then as we go further, we dig into the hip, we'll dig into the shoulder, we'll dig into the upper back, then we'll dig into the neck. All right, and then as we go through this process, so coupling this with all the movements that we do, we'll really be able to see where we have our biggest limitations and can dig into that. And the course is designed to give you the tools to continue this on your own. So as you can see, lacrosse ball, foam roller, we'll use a band eventually. Very simple and basic tools. For about 60 bucks, you can get everything you need to do all these kinds of stuff at home, because it really takes a daily practice, especially if we're coming off an injury or some sort of surgery, even perhaps, that we need to dig into on a regular basis. All right, so that's the first 2 mobility sessions, and we'll post more information in the comments. Good. And hopefully we'll see you next week.